Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm back with another 5-minute review that gives you just the highlights of a game and lets you know whether it's worth buying, whether you should get it on sale, or if you should pass on it. In today's review, we're going to take a look at an absolute classic for war game, Enemy Action Ardennes by Compass Games. First off, as usual, we'll just take a quick look at the components, and that's a little bit of a mixed bag because this game does have the thinner white core type counters, a little bit thinner stock when it comes to the cards, and obviously it does have paper maps as well. Now, when it comes to the white core counters, these have never bothered me, but I know that some people don't care for them. Some people also do prefer to have mounted maps, but most war gamers are used to having mini games that do use the paper maps. Now, the overall game simulates the German attack in the Ardennes during the Battle of the Bulge. The game itself is kind of like 3 games in a single box. It can be played solitaire as the German forces, solitaire as the Allied forces, or as a competitive game. Now, for the purposes of this review, we're going to be focusing more as the solitaire aspect of the gameplay, but do keep that in the back of your mind that you can play this competitively as well. So since this game was designed by one of the best legends in the industry, it does use some interesting mechanics when it comes to the gameplay itself. It is a card-driven game that uses a chit pull mechanic instead of dice for combat. So what you're going to do is you're going to play cards worth a certain point value that are going to represent your division, your corps, your armies to perform certain actions like moving or attacking with your units. The cards are easy to read because they have different color codes on them. Smaller color bands represent smaller selections of units, and then so on. Bigger color bands represent larger selections of units, and your card play will allow you to activate certain units depending on the size of the card. But if you are activating more units, that card does cost more points to actually play, so you might play fewer cards, getting more actions in that fashion. Also, the game does an excellent job reacting to you as you are playing. The AI performs its own card play turn that is going to be similar to the way the player is going to be acting. So it'll have its cards that it's playing that it's going to use to move units, to attack, or to place new units on the board. Also, as you're moving your own forces, the game's going to kind of simulate that fog of war in that you don't know what you're going to be coming up against. You can run into hidden enemy units, maybe the bridges have been destroyed, you'll find mines, or any number of things that can happen just like what happened in a real world war scenario that can change the plans that you've already laid down, and you're going to have to react to that as you're playing the game. Now, combat itself is the real thing of beauty when it comes to this game because it uses that chit drawing mechanic instead of a roll of the dice to determine who wins at combat. It gives a sense of depth to the combat that dice just don't. Your odds are much better if you have a larger force, combined arms, artillery, just like they would be in the real world. But just like the real world, those advantages might not be enough, and you could end up failing in your assault anyway. So the short version is you would choose your selection of units that you're performing an attack with. You pick the defenders that are being assaulted, and then a number of chits will be drawn depending on the combat situation at hand, and those chits are going to designate what type of hits are going to be allocated to the attackers and the defenders, and the chits are going to look at whether or not you do have combined forces, whether or not you have artillery support, all the decisions you have made, your combat odds, and you're going to gain hits or losses to your own forces based on the choices you made. So it gives a much more rich, full experience when it comes to the combat than simply just rolling dice can give you. So play is going to continue like this, back and forth with you playing your cards, the AI playing its cards, up to your chosen scenario length, which can be just a few days, up to the entire campaign for the Battle of the Bulge. So when it comes to the score for this game, it is absolutely top-notch, one of the best solitaire games out there for a wargamer. But you have to be okay with a complex game. A lot of moving parts that you're going to have to keep track of. It is definitely not as simple as rolling dice and just comparing the odds on a chart. There's a lot of pieces that you're going to have to keep track of, a lot of units that are going to be coming on and off the board, understanding not only what your cards do, but what the AI cards do as well. It also is a fairly high-priced game, but you do have to keep in mind that you are getting basically 3 games in a single box, the solitaire Allied side, the solitaire German side, and again, you can play it competitively as well. So if you are a solitaire wargamer and you want that deep, rich experience, Enemy Action Ardennes is absolutely a must buy. Absolutely a must buy. If you can get it on sale, so much the better. But this is definitely one you want to have in your collection. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this 5-minute review. Y'all take care. I will catch you in the next one.